Obviously, the biggest news in football yesterday, the Travis Kelce news, where it came down. I was doing too many things. I was doing the Megapod after the show yesterday, Kelley, and then I went on Toronto radio. So in all of that, doing this, that, and the other thing, I think it was Will who texted and said, "Hey, did you hear about this Travis Kelce thing?" I'm like, "Well, what? What's happening?" So Travis Kelce, the all-pro tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, as you know by now, ACL intact, but he has inflammation in the knee. Yesterday, with the injury in practice, he'll test it again today to determine his availability for the season opener tomorrow night against the Detroit Lions. Andy Reid has announced Kelce suffered a hyperextended knee. That's what they're going with from yesterday's practice. And so, obviously, the betting line implication, I immediately got thrust onto the radio in Toronto there, and they're like, well, what's the impact of this? I was supposed to talk tennis. And I'm like, well, it's going to come down. This is no brilliant statement. It's going to come down. It's only going to go one direction until we find out what the actual final status is on Kelce, which we might not know till just before game time on Thursday for all we know. And boy, did it come down. It's 4.5 now, consensus. We're showing 5. But really, as I look across the board, I'm seeing more 4.5s everywhere now in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. And right behind us here at the D, which, of course, is a circus shop, it is at 4 in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. This a move from 6.5, where it had been residing most of this time in this ball game. Too much of a move, an overreaction, in your opinion?
I saw the news come down yesterday. I was working on some show stuff and saw the news come down, and I took a piece of the Lions at 6 at the time, plus 6 at the time. I was intrigued at the slow move of the line, because there really wasn't, it was really Andy Reid saying after practice, hey, he hyperextended his knee, and it started to trickle down a bit, but, man, it took a while before we really got to 4.5. Yeah. So, look, I took a small piece of Lions plus 6. I'm not overly confident. I think that, if Travis Kelce hits the field, he plays tomorrow night, and you're able to lay 4 points with the Chiefs.
Oh, well, this is my point on all this, right? When we knew that Tyreek Hill was not going to be part of the Chiefs anymore, most of mainstream media, and some of us as well, including myself, right? We're like, oh boy, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have Tyreek Hill. Think about how many times Tyreek Hill has bailed out Patrick Mahomes from plays where he just chucks it up and then Tyreek speeds into the football and gets it. And now you could say the same about Travis Kelce. Oh, my God, what a safety valve for Patrick Mahomes. And he is. Like, no one's denying that. But what did we learn from all of that? What we learned is that the Chiefs are just that good. They can make, through the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, it really, yes, does it hurt to not have Tyreek? Sure. Does it hurt to not have Travis Kelce? Yeah, but does it hurt on a one-game basis where the Chiefs can't figure out a way around that through the scheming, the mastery of the X's and O's from Andy Reid to begin with, and what Patrick Mahomes can do to adjust on a football field? And you're giving me this at 4 now? That is a wager. That's a bet. A game that I was not going to bet pre-flop ATS.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I get it from that standpoint.
And one of those games where, again, how many times have we said this? Thousands of times on this show. Some bets you have to be willing to lose. That's a bet I'm willing to lose. If I'm wrong, great.
So you're okay with that, though? You're okay with that with or without Kelce, whether he goes or doesn't?
Yes, and then there's the off chance. We don't even know if it's an off chance. Maybe it's a coin flip. Maybe it's better than a coin flip. Travis Kelce doesn't miss football games due to injury.
Right.
That he could show up and just be like, nah, I'm good. And then what? Goes right back to 6.5 at that point before game time? Because that will be a quick move at that point.
It hits 6 again. I think it hits 6 again. Maybe we don't get to 6.5 or something like that, but I think we hit 6 again if that happens. It's I think it was interesting. Austin Gale, we've had on the show before. He used to work at Pro Football Focus. He does some stuff for the Ringer now. He did a great job yesterday. He was kind of documenting some of the injury, some of the timelines from hyperextended knees. But there's so much variables with that, where it's the bruising, it's the amount of inflammation, like all that kind of stuff. So he did kind of note, Justin Fields missed a week. Ezekiel Elliott missed almost a month, same kind of injury. So it varies greatly. But then there was also, multiple guys that came out yesterday and saying, hey, they've played, the same week after suffering that type of injury. So I think we still don't really know how likely it is he's going to go or not. I also think, Gil, if this was week 5, wouldn't we all be saying, Don't even trot him out there. Kelce's too important. Make sure he stays healthy. I feel like there's something about week 1, though, where they might force it more just to get, like, it's Thursday night football, week 1 of the NFL season. These guys have been practicing all summer. Everybody's jacked up, ready to go. I don't know why, but I feel like there's more of a likelihood he would go in week 1 than a week 4, week 5 situation.
David Chow, our buddy David Chow, did you see his initial reaction? He was like, hyperextended knee in practice day. Worst case, 3 letters starting with A. Well, I think we've ruled that out so far,
yes,
right?
They have, yep.
Best case, bone bruise. Either way, opening game, doubtful at best, he said.
Okay, yeah.
If we buy into what Dr. Chow is saying.
Yeah, I mean, again, for some of the things I read yesterday, there's so many variables with the bruising, how much bruising, inflammation, all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting tomorrow night. What's the saying in baseball? Freeze on a line drive. This news has made me freeze here because it's 2 things. The Lions are so bad on defense, and Andy Reid has extra time to prepare. But now you're putting Mahomes in a position. All right, he lost Tyreek Hill a couple years ago. Now he's got no Kelce. The Tony's beat up. And I think what's going underrated here, they're missing a lot of guys from last year on defense, whether it's Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Snead is iffy to play. Detroit might march the ball up and down the field. I kind of like Detroit plus the points. I thought they were live anyway. I could see a scenario where they're down 10 with the ball late and they backdoor them, which they're famous for doing. So I kind of like Detroit plus the points. And I will give out a prop. If you read between the lines or if you read some of these stories, Peter Schrager picked Gibbs Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he said, I'm hesitant to even call him a running back. They're going to use him in the passing game a lot. I think 29.5, 30.5 receiving yards for Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie. I would play that over. I think they're going to use him in the passing game a ton.
Wow. Okay. Pretty strong words from Schrager.
I played that as well.
You did?
Played that
Jahmyr Gibbs over receiving yards?
Yep.
Okay. You think that move, and let's switch to the NFL for a second. You think the move on the Chiefs is too much yesterday, going down to 4 points here at Circa?
Yeah, I think at this point in time, 4.5 would be a buyback spot on Kansas City. I mean, I realize that there are concerns about the wide receiver corps for the Chiefs, and so many things go through Kelce, and he's such an important player in terms of not only opening up the middle of the field, but opening up other parts of the field as well. But if anybody is capable of overcoming something like that, it would be Patrick Mahomes, and it would be probably against this Detroit defense where. Keep in mind, as exciting as this offense was, as much as nobody wanted to play this team in the NFC playoffs if they had made it, it was all about the offense for Detroit. They were a really, really poor defensive squad last year, and maybe they'll make a 180-degree turnaround, but, I just think a player like Mahomes, he'll figure it out. It's just what a guy like him does. So I think 4.5 is too low. I mean, as great as Kelce is any tight end in the NFL worth a 2.5-point adjustment in today's game?
Yeah, that's kind of my point at the beginning. Yeah, we don't see that.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.